Hoiberg will launch the three. Oh, he hits!
Clobber to left field. Another double for Washington. This time it's Nick Kresnak.
But no doubt, 2-run, go-ahead homer in the 7th. The bat flip puts the exclamation mark on a comeback.
An RBI knock from Kresnak, who's had an incredible night. Sam Hoiberg, the son of the coach, to steal the bucket.
Welcome back to the Sports Section, episode 8. In the beanie, that's our guy, Nick Kresnak. I'm Matthew Mounsey. That's right, call God.
Yes, sir.
Great to be back with you, Krezzy. You were at the Niner game last night. Congrats on the win. Monday Night Football. The 49ers get it done over the Panthers.
Yeah, man, it was not pretty, but hey, it's hard to win in the NFL, so I will take the win for sure. And I know in the last episode I was talking about how Purdy's going to throw for 1 billion yards and throw 5 touchdowns, but clearly he did the exact opposite. 3 picks in the first half. The whole stadium wanted McCorkle Jones to be put in the game, including myself, who was wearing a Purdy jersey. But like I said, it's tough to win in the NFL, so I'll take the win.
Yeah, we'll get into the rest of the NFL in a little bit, but I do want to talk about that Niner game last night. The offense seemed a little bit sluggish, but we were texting after the game about how good Christian McCaffrey is. And we know how good CMC is. I think that everyone just kind of forgot because he was hurt last year. And the Niners are still in injury hell, but to me, it seems like he's carrying this team.
Yeah, man, 100%. CMC, he's as advertised. I think he had 34 touches last night. And if I was Shanahan, I'd be doing that every single game. I know workload management becomes an issue down the stretch if you're touching the ball 34 times a game, but he's the workhorse and he's the engine that keeps that offense going. The injuries are still piled up, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I think the offense is pretty much back to full strength. Everyone on the offensive line's good to go. Purdy's back, Pearsall's back, and Kittle's back. But that defense is where the real injuries are stacked up, and they looked pretty good last night. I don't think the Panthers are an insanely high-powered offense or anything, but they only gave up 9 points. So if the defense can figure out ways to hold teams to nothing, I mean, it's going to give that offense a chance to win, you know?
Christian McCaffrey had 24 carries for 89 yards and a touchdown, 7 receptions for 53 yards, a $144 all-purpose on 31 touches. Brock Purdy's stat line doesn't look that bad. He did go 23 for 32, but he had 3 picks in the first half. I thought you guys could have kind of ran away with it in the first half. It seemed to me like he was seeing ghosts out there.
Yeah, it definitely looked that way. I mean, he made a couple really bad throws, like behind receivers, and one of them was just a terrible read. He just didn't see the safety kind of shadowing over onto the right side, and he just jumped the route, which was a good play, but it did look like he was kind of seeing ghosts out there, and everyone was kind of waiting to see if Mac Jones would come out in that second half, but they stuck with Purdy and kept giving McCaffrey the ball, and hey, a win's a win.
And you mentioned it's such a hard league to win in, and you shouldn't apologize for winning football games in the NFL, especially if you're the banged up 49ers who are now 8-4. I mean, a credit to the Niners. I am admittedly not a Niner fan and don't really want them to win in the slightest, but it's been so impressive. Just continue to win week after week, and I think it boils down a lot to Kyle Shanahan. He does such a good job week in and week out. And when you can get 2-3 the ball 30 times, who's going to stop him?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love how they utilize him in the passing game, too. Obviously, they've handed the ball off to him 24 times or whatever you said, but the fact that they're able to get him the ball 7 times in the passing game, too, he's really dynamic out of the backfield, and that just opens up so many things for the offense. But I think it was the defense that really won us that game last night because, like we were talking about earlier, Purdy with 3 interceptions. and the Panthers weren't really able to capitalize on any of those. Our defense had an interception on the 1-yard line, which was huge, and yeah, they really stalemated them. So credit to Robert Saleh too. He's been getting that banged up defense ready.
There were 6 total turnovers in this game, 3 by each team. And you were telling me before we started recording that you saw my guy Brian Wu at the game, Mariners ace.
Yes, sir. There's a all-star last year, bro. I actually played on the same baseball team as him for not very long, maybe like 4 or 5 games we played on the same team together, but I ran into him when I was walking out of the stadium last night. I just looked up and I was like, damn, that guy looks really familiar. And then right away, I kind of realized who it was and just said, what's up? And he said he remembered who I was, but that honestly might be complete bullshit. I'm not sure.
I think that it's super fucked up that there's guys our age that are MLB all-stars.
I know. I was literally telling my girlfriend that. I was like, yeah, that guy I just said hi to, he pitched in the All-Star game this year, and he was one of the best pitchers in the league. And it's just funny just seeing them around out. He was signing autographs for kids. He's a great dude, so respect to Brian Wu.
The Wu dog. I love that guy so much. He is
Dude,
so
he's so good, and he was a shortstop when I played with him, and now he's an ace pitcher in the MLB, and he throws 98. Like, how does that happen?
well, and I know you've told me about this in the past too. You guys had a catcher, Thatcher Hurd, who now also throws 100 miles an hour and is a pitcher.
Yeah, it was funny. After we saw Wu last night, I was talking with my dad, and I was like, I swear to God, every single pitcher that I know who's in the majors or the minors right now was not a pitcher when I played with them or played against them.
Yeah, that's so dumb. And for those who are unfamiliar with Brian Wu, I believe he was 5th in American League Cy Young voting this season. His ERA was under 3, and he throws like 75% fastballs. His fastball profile and the spin rate that he gets on that thing, he throws rise balls at 98 miles an hour, and nobody can hit.
He just goes out there and throws as hard as he fucking can and says, try and hit my fastball. And no one can do it.
Nobody can.
It's awesome.
I'd throw that shit all the time too.
It's so good. I love watching him pitch. He's efficient too. I feel like didn't he have a streak of like 6+ innings for like 20+ starts or something?
It was almost 30.
Jeez.
He went 6 innings in every single start this year except for one, and he went 5 2/3 in that start and had a chance to get out of the 6th. It was one of the most special things I've ever seen. I think he was like 1 or 2 starts shy of Verlander's all-time record of 6 innings in consecutive games. He started the season doing it and didn't throw less than 6 innings until there was like a month left in the year.
That bullpen probably loves him. The bullpen doesn't have to pitch very much when Wu's on the mound, that's for sure.
Big time. Also, I did want to give the people a sad fantasy update. So I ended up winning my game this week against Piazza. Baker Mayfield getting hurt won me the game pretty much. I won by 5, and he had Baker. And I passed Chuck for 2nd in the league in points. So I now have the 2nd most points in the league. I'm tied for last, and I have been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention.
At 8-4?
No, at 4-8.
Oh shit!
But I have I've scored the 2nd most points in the league.
And you have no chance of making the playoffs. That is just diabolical. How does that happen?
And I know I complain about it every week, and I'm definitely going to keep doing it because I don't feel bad about it. But I've just never even heard of something happening like this in fantasy football, ever.
Dude, that's the thing about fantasy is it's just happenstance. Like, who are you playing on a given week? Like, it doesn't matter how many points you put up. It's who you're playing, right? And like you're saying, every week you tend to play someone who just goes absolutely off, and that's just nothing you can do about it. It's not the way you draft or anything like that. It's just unlucky.
Our trade deadline is on Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm not going to lose the league. Like, I'm not going to lose the shit bowl playoffs because there are some bad teams in my league. So I've stated that I will now be selling Josh Allen to the highest bidder.
Give me a little cash for the best quarterback in the NFL.
I will be selling him. So if you want to win the title, and I haven't said this yet because I couldn't give him credit while I still had a chance to make the playoffs. Dude, Maynard's team is such a fucking juggernaut. It's ridiculous.
Who does he have?
I have the second most points in the league, and he scored 200 more than me.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah. He took McCaffrey in the first round. That worked out. Jalen Hurts has been really good for him, too. He fleeced John early in the season for a Mecca after like 2 weeks. And he has George
Dude.
Pickens.
Ibuka and Pickens too. He's just been a dark horse. I mean, I think people thought he might be good with Dallas, but I don't think anyone had an idea that he was going to be as good as he has been.
And it's kind of weird, and we'll get to the Cowboys-Eagles game later, but it seems to me like George Pickens is their best receiver, but CD has like more skills, if that makes sense. But Pickens has had a better year and is a better receiver right now to me than CD Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, Pickens is leaps and bounds better than Lamb this year, but I think part of the reason Pickens might be so damn good is because all the attention may be going towards CD, and that just frees him up on the backside, which definitely has benefited him this season.
It's kind of like what we talked about with Devontae Adams. Yeah, he's incredible and is having an amazing year, but he gets to pick on number 2 corners every week because Puka is better than him, which is crazy.
It's so stupid. The Rams are a juggernaut too, as much as I hate to say it.
We're both pissed off about the Rams.
It's not fair. And their defense is so young and they're only going to get better too.
Yeah, we'll do a deep dive into the NFL in a little bit. We are going to have our resident college football expert, Tim Daly, back on in just a few minutes. But I was thinking about this the other day, and it's kind of a pet peeve of mine because every single sports broadcast that I've been watching this week, they're all saying, let us be the first to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. You're not the first. We do it on every game. But a happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners. I guess this episode comes out Friday, so it'll be the day after. But you got any Thanksgiving plans?
No, nothing crazy. I mean, I feel like over the years, my Thanksgiving's been getting smaller and smaller. People are kind of all over the country and not able to make it out as much. So it's, I think, just 8 people going to be at my house and should be pretty low key, but I'll get to spend it with some family. How about you? What are you doing?
Nice. This is the first year, I think, of my life that I haven't gone to Arizona for Thanksgiving. My family always goes to Arizona, which is usually a pretty fun time, but I'll be here in Austin for Thanksgiving. I'm going to go to our buddy Joe's for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice. That'll be good.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. That's going to be a good time. And then I'm working the Texas A&M game on Friday. That's a big one.
Well, let's go. That is a bummer you're not going to be going to Arizona, though. You can't wager some money at the Talking Stick.
I love the Talking Stick.
That's a great spot.
I do have actually a great story about the Talking Stick. So I was there with my mom, and I was playing blackjack, and I had gone up a good amount. Like, I was up pretty big. I was having a good time, and I was pretty much wrapped up. But my mom was still playing a little bit of blackjack, so I was sitting there playing with her, and I was playing, maybe like $5, $10 a hand. I was up big, so I was just kind of, letting it go, having some fun. And there's a side bet that they have there called the Buster Blackjack. I'm sure you've seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it is a bet on how many cards it takes the dealer to bust. And if they do bust, and you get paid increasingly more based on how many cards it takes them to bust. And so I remember I was playing 2 hands, I think like $5 or $10 on those, but I had $25 on each of the side bets. And the dealer had an ace up. I don't even know what my hands were, but the dealer has an ace up. The dealer flips it up. There's another ace underneath. And so I think it goes like ace, ace, 2 for like soft 4, 14. And then maybe like another 2 to get to 6, 16. and then it goes over the top. It was a 6, so it goes from like the soft 6 to the hard 12, and that's already 5 cards. And dealer goes ace, ace for 13-14, and then bust. 7-card bust, and it paid 50-1 on both of them. And so I got $12.50 on each, made $2,500.
Holy shit, that is awesome.
Yeah, it was the best hit that I've ever had still.
That's the best start to a hand you can get right there is ace with those side bets.
It was awesome. So I won a lot of money at the talking stick.
Good man. That's always a good thing.
Well, let's do some college football and welcome on our guy, Tim Daly.
Damn straight.
All right. Welcome back, our resident college football expert. I think the first 2-time guest of the Sports Section pod, our guy, Tim Daly, everybody.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, let's talk about the college football playoff and rivalry week. Another great week of football last week. There weren't a ton of high-ranked matchups. It was SEC Cupcake Week. As we mentioned, the SEC is increasingly interesting, especially with the Texas A&M game on Friday. I guess that'll be tonight for everybody listening on Friday. But let's talk about last week, Timmy. We were texting during this Pitt and Georgia Tech game. This game was wild, and Georgia Tech had a chance to come back and win it.
Yeah, I think Haynes King must be a big fan of the pod because I think he heard how much we were talking about him last week. Man, the Yellow Jackets just laid an egg in that first quarter, in that first half in general. I mean, Pitt came out and it was 21-0, I think, before I even turned the game on. Pitt just got out to that quick start. G-Tech looked flat. And then it's like they get back into the game. They get it to 28-14. And then Haynes King decides to throw one off his back foot on the goal line.
That pick 6 was the game right there. And it seemed to me like Georgia Tech kind of neglected their running game. Haynes King is their best runner. And they just didn't get him going until late second quarter, really. And, dude, he ended up with 20 carries. 20 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown, and threw it 41 times for 257, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Pitt did really have a bounce back after they got their shit kicked in by Notre Dame at home the week prior. There's still a chance that Pitt goes to the ACC title. And also with that Pitt team, their quarterback, Mason Heinschler, I can't say his last name. I've been trying for weeks. But this kid is an 18-year-old. He should technically still be in high school, I believe. He early enrolled last January, so maybe this would be his technical freshman year. But after Pitt puts him in at QB, their team and their offense has completely turned around. They're now 8-3, 6-1 in the ACC. And this kid had an incredible night. He manages the game so well. And I think Pitt has a very bright future. I was about to say they're not going to make the college football playoff, but they could still make the ACC championship. And if they win it, they could make the college football playoff. So to hell with it. What do I know?
Yeah, Pitt looked really good in that second half last week. I think just in terms of managing it, Georgia Tech had the fans and everything. They had the buildup that they were possibly still going to be playing in the ACC title with a comeback in that game. And Pitt really handled that well in the second half. Georgia Tech made their comeback. They got it to within 1 score again. And then Pitt's running back, man, 60-yard touchdown, dagger. Have a good night, Tech fans.
How does Tech come out flat for a game like that, though? They're just playing for their future, and their fate's in their own hands, and they come out flat. And like you said, they were down 21-0 before you could even think about it. I just don't understand how teams don't get up for a game like that or like come out flat like you said they did.
They didn't look great, especially in that first half, and their offense just never got going. Their defense hasn't been great all season. But another very high-powered offense, this was game day, game of the week, to former Pac-12 foes facing off in the Big Ten now. USC kept it tight with Oregon. They had a chance to beat the Ducks in Autzen, but the number 7 Ducks, with their best win of the season, 42-27. Krez, did you get to watch these two teams out of your former conference?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I didn't watch the entire game, but USC had their chances to pull ahead and possibly win that game towards the end. But giving up 42 points, that's gonna be tough to win ball games. Doesn't matter what conference you're in, who you're playing. But I don't know. I think both those teams are pretty good. Obviously, both of them aren't going to get in, and Oregon has a big one, like we were saying on the last pod against Washington this week, and that's no cakewalk either. So if Oregon loses that game, they might be in some trouble. They're in right as of right now, but anything can happen during rivalry week. So we'll see what happens up in Seattle on Saturday. And honestly, I'm hoping that the Dogs pull out that win and sabotage Oregon's chance of making the playoff.
That would be awesome. Timmy, tell me what you thought about the Oregon defense, because they hadn't been tested with an offense like USC's all season. They turned Jaden Mayava over twice. He still did throw 3 touchdowns, but what stood out to me the most was King Miller, really good running back that USC just couldn't establish the run. They couldn't run all game. Miller had 15 carries for 30 yards. And then SC just kind of had to rely on Jaden Mayava, and it was a little bit too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the first drive for USC, I think, was the first opening touchdown that Oregon had given up all season on an opening drive. So right away, I was kind of like, okay, like we're gonna have a game here. And Mekhi Lemons also. I mean, if besides number 4 in red over at Ohio State, I think Mekhi Lemons probably the next best receiver in the country, and he'll probably be the best receiver in this draft class. But the way Oregon responds from there, like you said, they shut down King Miller. Mayava is really the guy throwing the ball and running the ball for SC. I think SC needed to do that a little bit more and keep it in Mayava's hands a little bit more often and just kind of let him go. Oregon holds tough there. USC gets that terrible penalty on a missed field goal when it's still a one-possession game, 28-21. But we decide we're going to try and jump the center. And next thing you know, Oregon's in the end zone. It's 35-21, and the game's basically over.
That opening drive was best case scenario for SC. They looked so poised. They marched right down the field. They got it in, go up 7-0. And after that, Dan Lanning's guys really stood up on defense. It was impressive, to say the least. We did talk about on Tuesday's episode how Oregon hasn't been tested this season. They've played 3 teams that are above 500. Their best win besides this weekend was at Iowa. They haven't played an offense beside USC that is as high-powered as Washington. So let's look a little bit forward to that game. Washington scored 48 at UCLA last weekend. We talked about how hostile of an environment it will be in Seattle. The spread is 7. Give me your thoughts, Timmy.
I mean, first off, man, I'm from Seattle. It's Dogs all day. You know, I mean, I can't stand Nike. Uncle Phil's probably going to have him switching uniforms at the half for all we know. With that said, I mean, I'm still not the biggest Jed Fish guy in the world, but they look more like a complete team this year. Last week, especially, I would say the defense showed up for the first time really this year to where I was like, wow, both the offense and the defense are playing complementary football. And the defense was getting the offense in good yardage situations and stuff like that, not letting them get in bad field position, always at the 25 or up. And I mean, you see that the points go on the board. And so going into this week, Jed Fish is a lot better coach at home. The Huskies are a lot better at home with Jed Fish as their coach in these last 2 seasons. So, I mean, we'll see. It's Dogs all day Saturday.
I like what you said there, too. I think we all agree Oregon has the better football team player for player. And if Washington does want to win this game on Saturday, they are going to have to play complementary football. And the offense is going to have to help out the defense. Because if Washington's defense is on the field for a majority of the game, that's just going to be a tough one for them to win. I don't even care if it's at home in the hostile environment. So that offense is going to have to step up and help the defense out a little bit. But complementary football is the biggest thing for this Washington team on Saturday.
We talked about all the points that UW put up on the board at the Rose Bowl. There were a lot of points in college football last weekend. Mainly Utah, Kansas State. The Utes survive somehow. They trailed that entire game. They win it 51-47 at home. And Kansas State has a good offense. They beat TCU earlier this season, but holy smokes. Let me just go through the box score really quick here. Wayshawn Parker for Utah had 100 yards on the ground, and their quarterback, Devin Dampier, had 14 for 94 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And then their backup running back, Bird Ficklin, had 7 carries for 54 yards and 3 touchdowns. Utah had 5 rushing touchdowns. Dampier accounted for 4 himself. And Avery Johnson only threw the ball 23 times in this game. Kansas State had 12 completions, and they scored 47 points. Big 12 football.
That's what it is. It's no defense, all points in the Big 12.
Constantly big numbers. Outside of the Big 12, the team that put up the most points, holy shit. The Irish threw up a 70. It's a 50 burger, right? So I think 70 is probably like a lobster. A 70 lobster on Syracuse. It was 21-0 before Notre Dame took an offensive snap.
That's ridiculous. I don't understand how that can possibly happen at any level of football.
They went pick 6 to start the game, blocked a punt and took it to the house, and then had a pick 6. And then they get the ball back on their first series, and their second play from scrimmage, Jeremiah Love goes 45 yards to the place of dwelling.
28-0 in a blink of an eye.
And I bring this up because I want to talk about Jeremiah Love mostly. He had 8 carries in this game for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. Timmy, is there a chance that Jeremiah Love can still win the Heisman?
That's a tough question to ask. I'll be honest. The way I have it right now, and I'm sorry to you Vandy fans as well, I have Jeremiah Love as my number 3 in the Heisman race. I think just because Indiana's never been 11-0 before, with the chance to be perfect after this week against the Boilermakers of Purdue, Indiana could go 12-0 in football, ladies and gentlemen. It's the year 2025. So I think Mendoza has to win it, especially after that drive that he had at Beaver Stadium against Penn State a couple weeks ago. I think he has to be the Heisman. I would say Pavia probably comes in as the runner-up, in my opinion, just because of the awesome year that Vandy's had as well. I mean, with a win at Neyland Stadium this year, unfortunately, I don't know if they get in, but they're still 10-2. But then Jeremiah Love, best running back in the country this year, no questions asked, and will most likely be the first running back off the board in April.
Just to take a look at his numbers really quick this season, he is averaging 7 yards a carry. He has 17 touchdowns in 12 games. Excuse me, he has 20 touchdowns, 17 rushing and 3 receiving. He has 275 receiving yards on the season and 1,300 rushing yards. That is almost 1,600 all-purpose in 12 games. He's averaging over 100 yards all-purpose a game. It's outrageous. And this is my thing with the Heisman. I think that the Big Ten championship game could influence a lot of voters in terms of the Heisman. Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza have 2 of the best odds. I don't know if Sayin is second in odds. I don't think Pavia is in the top. I'm not sure what the betting odds are, but Sayin is up there. And I think that game is going to kind of be a defensive battle. I see that being a little bit low scoring, especially with Ohio State's defense. And if those 2 quarterbacks are both not extremely impressive in that game and neither of them separates themselves from the other, you factor in a little bit of the Notre Dame bias that can come with a lot of Heisman voters. And I think Jeremiah Love has a better shot than people are giving him credit.
I still have him as my 3rd for the time being, but that's just, I'm just going off the fact that Indiana's never had a season like this, and Vandy's never had a quarterback or a player such as Diego Pavia. And I just think the value that all 3 of those players truly bring to their team is kind of why I wouldn't mention Sayin as a Heisman finalist. And I'm not discrediting Sayin in any way. I'm just saying that he stepped into quite a situation with the best defense in the country and also having the best receiver to throw to when in doubt.
He's in a very opportune position. So let's talk about the college football playoff. We dove into it deep last week, but there's a lot going on and things can change at the flip of a coin, right? I want to start with the group of 5 because there are pretty much 3 group of 5 teams that are left for that final spot in the playoff. And that is Tulane, it's James Madison, and it's North Texas. I want to give a shout out to the Mean Green because I watch them every week because I love Drew Mestamaker. He goes 19 for 23 last week for 470 fucking yards and 3 touchdowns. And
That's ridiculous. 19 completions for 470. Give me that any day of the week, please.
he also ran one in, and their running back, Caleb Hawkins, who is a dog, by the way, he had 3 touchdowns on the ground. He now has 19 touchdowns on the season in 11 games. The Mean Green are 10-1. Timmy, talk to us about the group of 5. What is happening?
First off, what the AP this week had JMU at 20. So JMU, led by Coach Bob Chesney, they're 10-1, and their only loss is at Louisville in week 2, 28-14. So I think they play Coastal Carolina this week. So with a win there, they're in the Fun Belt Championship at 11-1. But that said, they're also the highest ranked of the group of 5 teams for the time being. North Texas came in right behind them in the AP at 21, led by head coach Eric Morris. They're also 10-1. Their one loss this year, unfortunately, is a blowout to South Florida, 63-36. With that said, though, for those of you, ladies and gentlemen, that are not familiar with Drew Mestamaker down in Denton, Texas, come January, this guy is going to be signing for a lot of money at a Power 4 school. And we're talking $3-4 million at minimum. And then lastly, Tulane came in at number 22 in the AP this week, led by Coach John Summerall. They're 9-2. Their losses are getting boat raced by Ole Miss in week 4, 45-10. And they also got smoked by the Roadrunners of UTSA, 48-26. But Jake Retzlaff, who kind of a weird situation, ends up at Tulane this year, has really done a great job so far at quarterback, and I believe they still lead the American Athletic Conference.
If you remember, too, Retzlaff was the BYU quarterback last year who was going to get suspended for the first 6 games of this season for a violation of university policy.
I guess that's the way to put it.
You can put 2 and 2 together coming from BYU, I think.
And so we are expecting North Texas and Tulane to play in the American Championship, Timmy?
Yes, sir.
So let's say, hypothetically, North Texas has a big win over Tulane in that game. They are 12-1 as the American champion. Who is JMU supposed to play in the Sun Belt title?
If James Madison runs the table and Old Dominion, the second team in the Sun Belt, wins out, then they'll play Old Dominion. I don't know. I think if North Texas goes on, beats Tulane in the American Athletic Conference Championship, I think they have a solid chance of leapfrogging James Madison for that group of 5 bid.
I just want to see Drew Mestamaker in the playoff. It would be so, so fun.
I would argue that you want to see him play in the college football playoff. We all want to see him in the college football playoff. But most importantly, I think some of these Power 4 schools want to see him in the college football playoff. Because if he plays good in a college football playoff game, man, he might be getting $7-8 million.
I want him in Fort Worth.
Yeah, just come right down the road. Move from Denton to Fort Worth and play alongside Sonny Dykes.
Do you want Sonny Dykes back next year, Krez?
Honestly, not really. After his first season with us, he hasn't really done shit since. So I think it might be time for a change. And it's not going to be always sunny in Fort Worth anymore.
I'm with you. I'm out on Sonny Dykes. The Frogs did sneak out a win in Houston last week by 3, 17-14, I believe. Hoover threw a bunch of picks again.
Typical.
I guess don't apologize for winning, but wasn't the best one.
No, that was such a sloppy game and not a very fun one to watch. But like you said, it's tough to win. So you'll take any wins that you can get.
Krez, did you get to watch any of the Texas game last week? They played Arkansas, because I want to talk about Texas A&M, a massive game with SEC implications on Friday night. But Arch Manning has looked better week after week.
Yeah, I did watch a little bit of that game, and you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, Arch Manning, he had a pretty rough start to the season and did not look very great through the first half, but he's getting better and better every week. He had a great game last week against Arkansas. I think he had 5 total touchdowns, was it? 6? Yeah. So 6 total touchdowns against an SEC opponent. That's never something to throw any shade towards, but they have a massive test this weekend against A&M, and who knows? That game's in Austin, so I think anything can happen. And A&M, they just had a close one. Who were they playing where they made that big comeback? South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think Texas is a better team than South Carolina. If USC can play them tough, who knows? I think Texas could give them a run for their money, but they definitely have their hands full because A&M's a complete squad and they got a really high-powered offense as well. But Arch Manning's been playing better, and if he can continue to trend forward, I like the Longhorns to keep it close.
The spread is only 2.5 on that game. Against Arkansas, Arch Manning had 390 through the air with 4 passing touchdowns, had 2 carries, including a touchdown on the ground, and he also caught a touchdown.
So did Jameis Winston this weekend too.
Jameis Winston did catch a touchdown this weekend, and that was fucking awesome. He's so fun.
Dude, he's the best. That was probably the best thing I've seen the whole NFL season. So,
We inside, but we outside.
dude, he's a character. I can't wait for him to retire and join some broadcast.
Oh, I don't know how long he'll last on the air, is the thing.
Yeah, he might get in trouble pretty quickly, but it'll be entertaining for how long it lasts.
Most definitely. So, going back to Texas A&M, Timmy, give me your take on their defense, because they got lit the hell up in the first half against South Carolina, and their defense hasn't shown up on the road all season.
It's been tough, especially when they play Texas. I mean, you saw it last year. Texas was a good team last year, led by Quinn Ewers, but they weren't anything special. And I mean, A&M had Kyle Field. Like, Kyle Field last year was absolutely crazy for that game, and still UT came out on top. So I don't know. I think just based off kind of the football season that we're having overall, I kind of like Texas in this game, if I'm being honest with you. To what Nick said, well, Arch has just gotten better week in and week out. He just looks more comfortable in the pocket. And most importantly, he's getting that ball out of his hands. You know, he's not holding on to it and looking to make the spectacular play. If it comes down to it, he's just going to throw it out of bounds and live for the next down. And that's really been the key for Arch, I think.
He seemed like he has matured a lot. Their first touchdown of that game was just picture perfect quarterback play. It was a deep passing concept from about midfield, maybe even in their own territory. And Arch takes his drop, and he's getting pressured pretty heavily from the outside. And he trusts the pocket. He steps up and delivers a 55-yard touchdown. It was just, he looked like fucking Prime Peyton. It was incredible.
And what else to that is, I think he would definitely capitalize off of another year at UT. We're not saying, Arch, you're so good, like, just get right to the league. I think another year of development at UT with an offensive mastermind like Steve Sarkisian is just going to do him wonders. And hopefully he comes out next year looking like this from the start.
So let's talk about some of the Saturday games. It is rivalry week. We did least favorite team on Tuesday's episode, and myself and Krez talked about the game taking place in Ann Arbor. Michigan is 9.5-point underdogs at home against the number 1 team in the land, and they've beat them 4 straight years. I think Krez's quote was that Ryan Day might be the first coach to piss himself on the sidelines. Do you see that happening this weekend, Timmy?
Absolutely huge game. We're playing Big Nude Saturday, so set your alarms on the Pacific, man. 9 o'clock kickoff, Big Noon Saturday.
Big nude.
I think
Straight.
I think the big thing for Michigan comes down to Bryce Underwood. If Bryce Underwood can just not turn the ball over against that great OSU defense, and they need points in the first half, I think they got to present a little bit of a threat to OSU early in that game. Let them know, hey, like, you guys aren't going to beat us, man. This is 4 straight years we've gotten your number. Like, we're going to do it again this year. So I think the big thing for Michigan is coming out early, not turning the ball over on offense and giving, OSU that plus field position and just making things easier for Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith.
Krez, you've watched a lot of Michigan this season. The turnovers have been a little bit of a killer over the last few weeks. I think they had 5 turnovers against Northwestern, and they won that game with a field goal at the buzzer. What does this offense need to do to take care of the football against the best defense in the country?
For me, it's running the football. That's Michigan's bread and butter. And obviously, Bryce Underwood was the number 1 player coming out of last year's draft class, and there was a lot of hype around him pushing the ball through the air. And they have had some explosive plays this year, but at the end of the day, Michigan's a team that's going to come out and try to run the ball down your throat. And they've been able to do that against Ohio State the last couple of years in these games that they've won. So I think that Michigan's really going to have to rely on the running game early in this game, kind of get Underwood into the flow a little bit, get him comfortable in there, because obviously Ohio State does have a great defense. But if Michigan can run the ball effectively, it's just going to open everything up for Underwood in the passing game. So I think they got to pound the rock early. If they're effective there, it's just going to open everything up, and hopefully you can get some easy completions and put a little pressure on them early, because if they fall behind, it's going to be tough to come back against that Ohio State team.
There's so many eyes on Bryce Underwood every week, and as well as Julian Sayin, as there should be. But I think that people are kind of forgetting about that Michigan run game. They averaged 223 yards on the ground a game, and they have 32 rushing touchdowns this season. This team can really run it, and they're going to have to establish it.
100%. And I think that's something that is a little worrisome to me, because the running back room is a bit banged up. In Michigan, they had Justice Haynes earlier in this year, and he was just a stud for the first half of the year, but he got hurt, hasn't played in multiple weeks. And the backup as well, Marshall, he's a bit banged up as well. So I know he didn't play in the game last week against Maryland, even though he did suit up. But Michigan's going to have to run the ball if they want a chance in this game. So the offensive line's going to have to come ready to play, and the defense is going to have to play well too, because Ohio State's offense is a force to be reckoned with as well. It's just going to be a tough game for Michigan to win, but there's some mental block with Ryan Day playing Michigan, so I'm not going to count the Wolverines out.
So let's switch to the SEC. We talked about that Texas A&M game. That has massive implications for the SEC championship game, which we dove into last week. But here are the scenarios for what happens in that game. If Alabama beats Auburn, they are in. They will be in the SEC title game. If Texas A&M wins against Texas, they are in. Or if A&M loses and Alabama and Ole Miss lose, A&M would still be in. There is still a path for Georgia and Ole Miss. Georgia gets in with an Alabama loss or a Texas A&M loss. Ole Miss gets in with a win and an Alabama loss and an A&M loss, which are very unlikely. But if A&M loses and Alabama wins and Ole Miss takes care of business, that's a 4-way tie atop the SEC at 7-1 for first place. So just kind of a wild conference championship scenario. And this sort of just came out where they actually published the scenarios, because I was using like a results calculator earlier this week to go through all the different scenarios. But Timmy, let's talk about the playoff implications, because Alabama beat Georgia this season. And if they win, which they're expected to, I think they're 7-point favorites against Auburn, they're in. Alabama is favored to get into that game. If they lose to Texas A&M, they'll be 10-3. I don't necessarily think that matters. I think even with the 3 losses, they would still get in because of the conference championship. You?
100% agree. Before we look a little bit ahead of ourselves, though, I'm going to point this out about Saturday night. The Iron Bowl always gets weird, first and foremost. But Jordan Hare on a Saturday night. Now, let's recall this. The last 2 times we've been at Auburn, In 2021, we had the first overtime ever in Iron Bowl history, and Bama comes out on top and sneaks that one out in overtime. In 2023, Auburn fans just hit mute right now. In 2023, unfortunately, we had the 4th and 27 in the back of the end zone, where there was a nude Tide member just bringing that ball down and unfortunately crushing the hearts of the Tiger faithful. Jordan Hare at night, I don't know, man. As much as I want to say Bama, it's the Iron Bowl. I mean, Chris Davis could be running the ball 109 yards back for all we know.
You never know.
But like you said, I think if Bama does take care of business on Saturday, and we've mentioned it, man, you can't get punished for playing in your conference championship game. And most importantly, they're not leaving Bama out. There's no shot they leave Bama out if they play for the SEC title.
No, they wouldn't. But let's look down the road again. If Georgia doesn't make the SEC championship and they go 11-1, with their only loss being to Alabama, and Alabama's 10-3, who's ranked higher?
That's an unbelievable question. I would probably just say Georgia for the fact that they're 11-1. But like you said, Alabama beats them. But I think it's kind of that, I guess what I would refer that to for the time being is that Notre Dame has been ranked higher than Miami for the past 3 weeks or so. And so I think with that, they'd probably keep Georgia above Alabama.
Yeah, I would agree. If Alabama wins the SEC, they're getting a bye at 11-2?
I think that would depend on where Oregon finishes out. Because I would say for the time, if A&M won out, they'd probably be 1. And Ohio State winning, they'd probably be 2. And then I would assume it's probably an SEC or like Oregon or another SEC team getting that bye.
You mean Indiana?
Indiana, excuse me. I apologize.
Yeah.
So Indiana, sorry, not Oregon. I would probably say the 4 teams, getting a bye, or the 3 teams that are 100% getting a bye are A&M, Ohio State, and Indiana. And then probably, the 4th team will most likely be an SEC of some sort, unless they give it to Tech. But even then, I'm not discrediting Tech. I'm more so saying the committee will probably discredit Tech.
Yeah, this is more so what we think the committee would do rather than, I guess, our own personal opinions. Yeah, so the results this weekend do have extremely high-level implications, especially when it comes to the seeding of the SEC teams. The seeding of whatever ACC team is not really in question. I think that even if Virginia wins as the favorite, that they would kind of be in that 11 spot. But the ACC is very much up for grabs, Timmy. There's still a chance of the Armageddon 6-team tie.
Still a lot to happen here in this final week of the season.
Yeah, so walk us through, from your perspective, the ACC, and with results this weekend, what do you expect to happen with that?
Well, let's see. When we look at the ACC, the current standings go Virginia 1 at the top. Pitt remains at number 2. So a big one to circle this week is Pitt and Miami play this week. That's a game with major implications come Saturday. But so we got UVA at number 1, Pitt number 2, SMU sneaks in there at number 3. I didn't know they were on the Atlantic coast. Geographical location.
So is Cal.
Yeah, Cal and Stanford also are.
So ridiculous. Yeah, so we got Virginia 1, Pitt 2, SMU 3, Georgia Tech 4, and Miami all the way down at 5. And the crazy thing about the ACC is Miami sits at 5th in the conference right now, and they still have a chance to play for their conference title game in the last week of the season.
And so we are expecting, if everything goes according to plan, it would be Virginia and Pitt, correct, if they both win?
Yeah, so if Virginia and Pitt take care of business, no nightmare scenarios, we're good. Pitt and UVA play each other for the conference championship.
But Pitt is 6.5-point underdogs against Miami. So let's say Virginia wins, Pitt loses. Who would be next?
I believe SMU also only has 1 loss in the conference still. So for the time being right now, the Mustangs would actually move into that number 2 spot. Pony Express, pony up. And it would be Virginia versus SMU for the ACC title game.
And I think both Krez and myself would hate to see SMU in the playoff once again, especially considering the Frogs kicked the shit out of them in like week 3.
Dude, this ACC is just a complete cluster. I don't even know what to think about it. And yeah, I would hate to see SMU in it again, especially after the performance they had in last year's college football playoff. They obviously went on the road, but they got their ass handed to them. So I don't need to see them in there again.
All right. I'm going to do a quick Mounsey's Minute here to give out my college football picks. Before we do that, do you guys have maybe 1 or 2 picks that you like for this weekend?
I do. And it's going back to what Timmy was saying. I like the Longhorns this weekend at home against the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies. I think Arch is getting better. Texas's defense will play well. I think the crowd will be a factor as well in Austin. It'll be obviously heavy favored for UT, and they're a good football team. You can't count them out. They have the most NIL money for a reason. So give me the Longhorns outright, not the spread.
They are plus 2.5. You'll get a little bit more of a payday on the money line. Timmy, who do you like this weekend?
I'm just gonna get weird and be outside the box. I know I mentioned it earlier, but Bama's last 2 trips to Jordan-Hare have not exactly been fun. And this is DeBoer's first time playing in Jordan-Hare. With the season on the line, I don't know. Based on the way Auburn's offense has been playing since they fired Hugh Freeze, I think their ability to score points has been pretty intriguing, to be quite honest with you. I think if they can kind of slow down Bama early in that game, it's going to get interesting. And personally, I think I'm going to take the Tigers outright this weekend.
That's going to be a very fun Iron Bowl. All right, I'm going to do a little Mounsey's Minute here. Put my helmet hoodie on.
Here we go.
Get
Buckle it
that
up.
scrum hat on. Call God.
Is that the Golden Hurricanes?
Golden Hurricanes.
Go bash some heads together.
All right, welcome back to Mounsey's Minute on the sports section. Ready to give you the birdcage for college football this weekend. Happy feast week, everybody. We went 6-5 last week. Now 12-11 on the season. We got a trio for you on Friday night. Let's get into it. We're taking the Utes minus 12.5 at Kansas. They got tested last week in that game against K-State, but this offense scores 50 points every single week. I don't think Kansas can keep up. I think it's the Utes by a wide margin. New Mexico is a really, really good team. They've won 5 in a row, and Jason Eck has just a bag of trick plays, and this is the last time that he can use them. I think that he is going to call an outrageous amount of bullshit, and I like New Mexico at home, plus 1.5 against San Diego State. The game, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Central in Ann Arbor. Give me Michigan. I like the Big Blue plus 9.5. Ryan Day has never beat Michigan. I think this could be the year, but I think that the Wolverines keep that one tight. Kentucky and Louisville, a massive rivalry on Saturday as well. Kentucky has scored 17 or less in 4 straight games. Louisville scored 6 points against SMU last weekend. We're going to take the under. That's 47.5. That's going to be a low-scoring ball game. Boston College is 1-10 this season. They are completely horrible, but they gave Georgia Tech a fight to the finish. And they average almost 400 yards of offense every single game. Syracuse got 70 dropped on them by Notre Dame last week. We're going to take the Golden Eagles minus 3.5 at Syracuse on Saturday. In Seattle, Washington and Oregon. Oregon's first true road test of the season. Hostile environment at the greatest setting. Give me the Dogs. Plus 7 to keep things tight, and I'm going to take them outright on the money line to beat Oregon. Huge game at Neyland in Knoxville. Tennessee hosting Vanderbilt. Vandy needs to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. They are getting 3.5. I think Diego Pavia keeps this one tight. I'm going to take the Commodores plus 3.5 in that one. Tennessee has only lost to Georgia, Oklahoma, and Alabama. 2 of those have been at home. I think it's going to be 3 after this weekend. The Iron Bowl. Alabama going to Auburn. They need to win to make the SEC title game. Huge implications. They are minus 6.5. I think that they will get it done by exactly a touchdown. Bama lay the 6 and a hook. You know you got to have action on every slate. We got a kickoff at 11 p.m. on the East Coast. The Cowboys from Wyoming are going to see the boys from Honolulu. Hawaii and Wyoming, 11 p.m. Hawaii scores 30 points a game. They have only scored 16 combined in their last 2 contests. Give me the Rainbow Warriors offense to pick it back up, and we're going to take the over, 44.5, all the points in Honolulu. That game will wrap up at about 2 a.m. on the East Coast, and if you're a sicko like me, you're going to be watching it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Shout out to the Helmet Hood.
God, I love those.
Is Hawaii really only 44.5?
Yes.
Hawaii's going to score 45 points.
They're going to score that by themselves. It's in Honolulu. Do they know how fast the turf is there?
If only that game was kicked off an hour later.
It should be midnight. Well, those are the picks for this week. A big thanks to our resident college football expert, Tim Daly, for making another appearance on the pod. I'm sure we'll be seeing you before the college football season is over. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen.
Thanks, Big Baller.
Well, let's talk a little bit more football, but let's go to the National Football League, the NFL. A weird week of football last week. There were some double-digit favorites that had some tight games. The G-Men and Jameis went to Detroit and took the Lions to overtime. The Ravens were able to hang on against the Jets, Jets. But I want to start with Jameis Winston, Krez. I love this guy so much. He could be a starter for like a bunch of teams in this league. And Brian Dable should be shot in the fucking head for starting Russell Wilson week 1.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I love Jameis, and I think most of the country does too. He's just an electric factory. Whether he's on the mic, on the field, it doesn't matter. He throws 30 picks a year, but he also throws 40 touchdowns. It's just so fun to watch, but he has been good for the Giants the last couple of weeks. And like you said, they just took the Lions, who are one of the juggernauts in the NFL, to overtime. And Jameis caught a fucking touchdown. Like, how cool was that? And he also stiff-armed somebody on the way into the end zone, which made it 10 times better. So give me all the Jameis Winston in my life. I want literally as much of it as I possibly can get. So I just hope the Giants keep him out there.
He's so fun. And I think that was the first 30-plus yard receiving touchdown by a quarterback in like 15 years or something. It was an awesome stat. I love him so much. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here. I did take a couple weeks ago that Jahmyr Gibbs might be the best player in the NFL. But he had like 270 yards from scrimmage and 3 touchdowns. He took the first play of overtime, 70 yards. Reservations for 6.
Dude, he's so good. I think Gibbs, if he is not the best offensive player in the NFL, he's top 3 for sure. And he's just so fun to watch. So many explosive plays. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He really does it all for the Lions.
Well, and he's not even in there for Offensive Player of the Year because I want to give flowers to the best 2 offensive players in the league. And that is Jonathan Taylor, and that is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Jonathan Taylor is currently minus 175 to win the Offensive Player of the Year. JSN is plus 105. Of course, I am a big Seahawks guy, but JSN is a freak of nature. He broke the Seahawks' all-time single-season receiving record. This week against the Titans, he had a $155 and 2 touchdowns. There's 6 games left in the season. He is currently on pace for 2,029 yards. He would be the first ever NFL receiver to break 2,000 yards in a season and break Calvin Johnson's all-time record of 1,964.
He's going to do it, man. I feel like every week I look at his stat line and he's up over 100 yards. If he stays healthy, I don't know. I mean, obviously you were talking about Jonathan Taylor too, and that guy's just ridiculous as well. And he seems to be going over 100 yards every game too, and it'll be tough to not give him the Offensive Player of the Year, but I think it's really interchangeable between those 2 guys. They're the best 2 offensive players in the league, and if they both stay healthy, it's really going to come right down to the wire to see who takes home that trophy.
Let's talk about the best defensive player in the league. That is Myles Garrett, and there is no debate on that. He is minus 1,000 currently to win the DPOY. He had 3 sacks. Geno got sacked 10 times against the Browns. Shedeur Sanders won his first NFL start, snapped the streak for the Browns of 17 quarterbacks losing in their debut with the Browns. The Raiders are the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And Myles Garrett made Geno Smith look like he wanted to cry.
Dude, the Raiders are miserable, and it's funny because I really thought that they were going to be a decent team at the start of the year, getting Geno from Seattle, because he had some great seasons with Seattle before heading down to Las Vegas, and they obviously brought in Pete Carroll too. I think that the Raiders were thinking of having that win now mindset, bringing in Carroll and Geno Smith. They drafted Genty as well, but my God, it's a complete dumpster fire over in Las Vegas. And I honestly think it was just a perfect situation for Shedeur to get his first start and get that first win too. It really couldn't have been set up any more perfectly for that first win.
I don't know who's going to call plays for him next week because they just fired Chip.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. Chip Kelly's gone. Who knows? Maybe it'll be Pete Carroll calling the helm, and who knows? Maybe it's even Geno Smith just improvising out there. We'll see. But I think that might have been the 2 worst teams in the NFL playing each other on Sunday. And if Shedeur Sanders gets a win, God, I don't even know, man. That was just a miserable game to watch.
Anybody can be. Also, did you notice that at the end of the game, the Browns punted from the Raiders' 29-yard line?
Dude, I saw that. Like, what was that? Just to run out the clock, or what's the deal? I don't understand.
I didn't get it. There was a minute left. If you kick a field, it was like 4th and 2. If you kick a field goal, you make it a 3-possession game. And if you go for it and get it, you win. And even if you go for it and don't get it, the Raiders would still have to score, get an onside kick, and score again within the span of like 50 seconds.
Did they not want to risk like getting the field goal blocked or something like that? I don't get it.
The over-under was 36.5.
Maybe someone had a few bucks on that.
Field goal would have put it over.
Oh my God, there's got to be an investigation.
Saying,
My Lord, that makes everything a lot more interesting. I did not realize the over-under was in play.
it was.
Kevin Stefanski, put him under investigation.
Just throwing it out there. Colts, Chiefs. Chiefs hang on. Harrison Butker had 5 field goals and a game winner. This was a Patrick Mahomes game. All 5 of their losses this season have been by 1 score. This is their first 1-score win. And it did look like a vintage Mahomes performance. The Colts are very good. And this is a game that the Chiefs had to win. And they did. It was super ugly, but they got it done. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
I like the Chiefs. I mean, well, I don't like them personally. I hate them actually. But I think when it comes down to it in big games, they always find a way to win. It doesn't matter how they get it done. If Mahomes throws for 4 touchdowns, if he throws for 0, for some reason, they always win big football games. And I think if they're able to stay in it and sneak into the playoffs somehow, I think they're a team that you're not going to want to see, even if they come into your house, you know?
No, absolutely not. They are currently the 10 seed in the AFC at 6-5, and they're going to have to sneak in as a wild card because the Broncos are 9-2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not winning the division.
They're 3rd in the division right now. The Chargers are 7-4. The Chiefs are 6-5. But let's talk about the playoff picture a little bit. And we're both a little bit pissed off at the Rams because even if the Seahawks win out and they finish the season 14-3, the Rams would still have to lose another game because the Rams would have the tiebreaker over the Seahawks at 14-3, even if the Seahawks beat them. That would put Seattle as the 5 seed. Currently, they would have to go to Tampa Bay. The Niners are 8-4. They are the 7 seed right now, they would currently have to go to Philly. The NFC West is just such a juggernaut that it's frustrating as a Seahawks fan because I think we're going to be a wild card and we're not going to be able to have a home playoff game. Mike McDonald is great on the road, but give me your thoughts on the NFC playoff picture because the Eagles just lost to the Cowboys. They're still the 2 seed at 8-3. The Bears have beaten one team that's over 500, and it was this week against the Steelers with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Those are two teams that I don't trust, and I think the Seahawks and arguably the Niners might be better than both.
I agree, and I think that the NFC West is far and away the best division in football. The Rams are just unbelievable. Juggernaut of an offense. They just stuck it to the Buccaneers on Sunday night this week. And I think they're going to be the 1 seed in the NFC at the end of the day. I know the Seahawks play. You guys playing one more time, right? Yeah. So I mean that's a game that they could possibly lose for sure. But I think the Rams are going to end up getting that 1 seed, and the Seahawks and the Niners are two teams that are probably going to end up with a wild card spot, assuming what happens down the stretch here. But everyone else in the NFC, it's interesting. Like you just said, the Eagles just lost to the Cowboys. The Bears have only beaten one team above 500, and the Packers are weird to me. I don't necessarily love the Packers. They've shown flashes of being a really good football team, but at the same time, they've also shown flashes of losing to bad teams, you know? And I think it's possible that the 3 best teams in the NFC could be in the NFC West.
I don't trust the Packers. At all.
No, I don't either. I don't really trust the Eagles either, man. Like, their defense is good, but their offense has looked pretty bad this year.
Which is crazy because Saquon was the offensive player of the year last year. And was
I
the
know,
best.
and he can't do anything this year. And AJ Brown's been non-existent. Jalen Hurts isn't really running the ball like he was last year, which I think is a big part of why their offense doesn't look the same. But I think it's the NFC West, man. I think we could see a Seattle Rams NFC championship. We could see a Rams Niners. We could see a Seahawks Niners. Who knows? I'm forgetting about the Lions too. I think the Lions are a good football team, but they're another team where their defense can be hit or miss. Obviously, they're going to score a lot of points, but you can also put up some points against that defense. So that's another interesting team. I think that they'll be up there with the NFC West teams.
Well, and you have to look at the NFC North in a different light because the Bears have to play the Packers twice. They have to play the Lions. They have to go to San Francisco. I don't see the Bears winning this division. I think they make the playoffs just because they already have 8 wins, but I think it's going to come down to the Packers and the Lions. And I think what could separate the winner of this division is the Packers and the Cowboys tie.
I think that tie is going to turn out to be a huge deal in the NFC North. It could be the difference between the Packers winning that division and becoming a wild card spot and having to go on the road, which is unfortunate for the Lions, but that's just what happens, man. If the Lions want to win this division, they're going to have to win games down the stretch. And same with the Packers. They have a little bit of leeway because of that tie, but I like the Lions to win that division. I just don't trust the Packers. I think they might lose one of those games to the Bears just because I think the Bears are a decent football team, and Caleb Williams has shown glimpses of being a good player. But yeah, I like the Lions to win that division personally, even though the Packers have an edge with that.
The Lions are so well coached. They have arguably the best player in football in Jahmyr Gibbs. Their offense is such a juggernaut. I really like the Lions as well. I love Man Campbell, the man at the helm.
Dude, he is just the man. I would love to play football for that guy.
Indeed. We do have some great Thanksgiving games. I don't want to get too deep into it because this episode will come out on Friday after these have taken place. But Green Bay at Detroit, Kansas City at Dallas, Cincinnati at Baltimore. Joe Burrow might be back for that night game on Thanksgiving evening. But tonight, for everybody listening, or I guess this afternoon rather, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff Central. Bears at Philly. Philly is 7-point favorites. I love a good Friday night NFL game, and that has massive implications in the North. But let's move on to Sunday a little bit and preview a couple games. There aren't really too many tight games. I do want to talk about the Seahawks for a second because they are hosting the Vikings this week. The Seahawks are 10.5-point favorites. Is JJ McCarthy like the worst quarterback of all time?
He is miserable, man. Like, I thought he was gonna come in and be decent. I know he's still learning. I mean, I gotta give him the benefit of the doubt because he missed the entire year last year. He was a little banged up this year, and he's only played in 6 or 7 games, but from what we've seen from him so far, it's been pretty hard to watch. So, right now, yes, he is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen, but I think there's still time for him to develop and potentially be a good player down the line.
He has 10 picks in 5 games and can't even get Justin Jefferson the ball. For some reason, you guys are only 5.5-point favorites against the Browns. I guess it's in Cleveland, but I don't know. You were just 7-point favorites against the Panthers and beat them by 11. So that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I think you guys take care of business in that game. The Giants play at the Patriots on Monday Night Football, prime time. I'm assuming Jackson Dart is going to be back for that game, and it makes me really sad because I want to see Jameis Winston throw for 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions on Monday night.
That would just be wonderful, and I agree. I think Dart will probably be back, which is unfortunate because we won't be blessed with seeing Jameis Winston on our TV screens, unfortunately. But it was fun while it lasted, man. I don't really think the Giants have a chance in that game. Patriots are a damn good football team. Drake May's playing like an MVP. I think Winston would give him a chance because he obviously puts up a lot of points, but I think it's the Patriots by a wide margin in that game personally. What are your thoughts?
The Patriots are 7.5-point favorites. I think if Jameis plays, they keep that close. It is in New England, and Drake May's been good, but again, the Patriots have played that last place schedule. They're playing the 2-win Giants this week. Like, I would really like to see Jameis play and win them that game. I don't really think that they have a chance with Jackson Dart, honestly, even though I think Dart is really good. But, and also I wanted to mention, we were talking about the Raiders. They beat the Patriots week 1. Let's not forget about that.
That's just stupid.
It's
If they played right now, Patriots would win by 2 touchdowns.
Yes. I think probably the best game in the afternoon window will be Buffalo at Pittsburgh. Do you know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Because he has a broken wrist, and he was like a game time decision last week, and they decided not to start him. But it's like his wrist is broken. Is he actually pretending that he's going to play? Like, is he supposed to play this week?
I think he might just be on some sort of drug or something that eases the pain. That wouldn't shock me a little bit, but yeah, with a broken wrist, I don't understand how you can go out there and is it his throwing arm? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not his throwing arm, which I guess obviously helps because you wouldn't be able to throw the football, but dude, you can't take hits with a broken wrist. That's just not how this works.
We are going to have another battle of backup quarterbacks in the early window. Arizona and Jacoby Brissett going to Tampa Bay. We would assume Teddy Bridgewater will probably start for the Bucs. Baker was in a sling on Sunday night against the Rams after he got injured at the end of the first half. Tampa Bay is still 3-point favorites at home in that game. But also a shout out to Teddy Bridgewater because I love this guy. You remember last year, he won a 6A state title in Florida, coaching at his alma mater, and then he got suspended by the Florida high school athletic commission. And okay, it makes sense. It's the rules. Quote, impermissible benefits. He was paying for players' meals and Uber rides. He's such a good dude. I just love Teddy B, and I really hope that he wins this game.
Likewise, he is a good dude, and I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that stuff under the rules, but it's just because he's a good guy. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Come on now.
He's such a good guy, man. Currently out of the AFC, Patriots, Colts, Broncos, and Chiefs all share the best odds to make it out of that conference and make it to the Super Bowl. They're all plus 500. The Bills and the Ravens are plus 550. The Ravens are back in first place. I think it was kind of just a matter of time there. Had to get Lamar back and get some wins. The Rams are plus 200 to win the NFC. The Eagles plus 350, and the Seahawks plus 500. Really excited for the Thanksgiving games. I guess those will have already happened when this episode comes out, but it's going to be an awesome weekend of football. I love ball, Krez.
There's nothing better, and especially Thanksgiving week. You got 3 Thursday games and a Friday game, so no complaints there. Sunday slate is a little lackluster, not great matchups, but hey, football's still football, man, and it's just fun to watch, and we're coming down the stretch here, so we'll see what happens, and we're in for a good finish to the season.
One L word for the rest of your life on an NFL game this weekend, Krez. Give me one pick.
One L word. I'm going to take the Bills to absolutely spank the Steelers.
That is minus 3.5. You can go ahead and lay those points. I'm going to give out 2, but depending on what happens. If Jameis plays, give me the Giants plus 7.5 on Monday night. If Jameis does not play, give me Teddy B and the boys. Bucks minus 3 over the Cardinals. The Cardinals have no weapons. None. Kyler Murray.
Absolutely zero. I think Kyler Murray might be done playing football.
He should go back to baseball. He was a first.
Honestly, he's still young enough. Just do it. He sucks. He sucks at football, so try something else.
Jacoby Brissett's better than Kyler Murray.
I agree. Kyler Murray is actually really bad.
And he hasn't even played this season, and the Cardinals suck. You got anything else for the people, Krezum?
Just happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football on Thursday. Have a good time with friends and family, and we'll see you back here on the pod again on Tuesday. So until then, good riddance.
Sam Hoiberg will be back. He joins us every Tuesday. If you want to sponsor the sports section, let us know. We'd love to have you on the rocket ship going to the moon. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Happy Thanksgiving. For Nick Kresnak, I'm Matthew Mounsey.
Call God, baby.
Call God, everybody. We'll see you next time.